Good evening and welcome to 5 A Day with Jay. I am your host, J.R. Murdock. How are you this evening? Thank you so much for joining me. Yesterday, we spent some time talking about how I got into writing and my path to getting my first few books written that I never published. Let's talk about what happened after that. My goal was to continue writing, and after I wrote those first 4 books, I did participate in NaNoWriMo. One of the books I wrote for NaNoWriMo, and actually wrote for that month and finished into December, was V&A Shipping. V&A Shipping was a nano novel. Yes, a lot of people will say, don't publish your NaNoWriMo novel. You know what? Not everybody knows everything. V&A Shipping was a fun book to write. I had a blast writing it. Again, much like Of Gnomes and Dwarves, the characters in V&A Shipping, Vic and Argmon, were based off of characters from a game that we played in high school. The game was called Bulldogs, and I've mentioned it many times. I've linked to it before. I don't even know if you can still find the game out there, but the game was created by a good friend of mine named Nathan Crowder, who we knew in Durango. It was based off of the Marvel superheroes role-playing game. Except everybody was an alien. That was the whole point. All the aliens we created, everyone had a blast creating different alien characters. Sean and I wound up playing on our own, just having fun rolling up characters, and we made Vic and Argmon and created the SS Acid Rat as our shipping vessel, and off we went. It was a good time. For all I know, Sean still has the maps that we drew of the interior of the ship. We had more fun with the characters and creating things around what we would be doing than actually going and doing anything. But V&A Shipping, those 2 characters are the only 2 that came out of that game and went into the book. Everything else about the book is completely different than anything that happened in the game. The game was about shipping things, yes, but it was also a lot of battle and a lot of fighting. Nothing that really happens in the book. The book didn't delve into that. That wasn't the point of the book. The point of the book was Star Wars meets Smokey and the Bandit. So I brought in a police to chase Vic and Argmon as they're trying to do an intergalactic beer run as almost a dare. It was a fun book. Junior, bring me a hamburger. I had fun doing the voices when I did the audiobook. If you go follow my channel, look at my playlist, you can go find V&A Shipping out there. The title changed to Stowaway when I decided to do more with that series than just V&A Shipping. Again, this was all me trying to keep my titles as generic as possible, and I don't know why I kept insisting on doing that when other titles worked better, like Estelle. When I released V&A Shipping, I was working on Estelle. I didn't actually release V&A Shipping. Wow, yeah, that's right. I wrote V&A Shipping. I wrote Estelle. I wrote Billy Barbarian. Most of these books I was writing for friends of mine. Friends were reading them. I wrote Paradise Palms. I wrote the first My Teacher's a Zombie, the first Supernatural Learning book. All of these books I was writing were all the first in a series. When I got into podcasting, I had been listening to Dragon Page, Winging It, Slice of Sci-Fi. You name a podcast, I was probably listening to it at a time, because early on in the podcasting game, there were maybe 50 at best, and a lot of them were rather short. I started following authors that were doing things on podcasting, and I fell into the group of authors that were out there doing podcasts. I started doing V&A Shipping as a podiobook and released it as a podiobook. Then I did Billy Barbarian. My intent was to go through and do all of my books as podiobooks and release them in that fashion to try and generate an audience. I remember doing an interview a very long time ago on the Dead Robot Society, way back before Terry Mixon and Paul Cooley even came in. Scott Roche was one of the people doing the interview, Justin McCumber. When they asked me what I was doing with V&A Shipping, this was when Kindle first started coming out. I was getting ready to do my release of Estelle, not V&A Shipping, and they asked me what was my logic behind that at the time. You can probably go find this out there on the interweb somewhere in the archives. But my intent was to release the first in a series and see which one took off, and then start writing in that series. That was my logic at the time. That was what I thought, hey, let's throw the spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks, and then we'll run with that. I never gave any series a chance to really take off. That was my main problem. I threw the spaghetti at the wall, and since then I've released even more first books. Golden West, the first book in Golden West, the first book in Jack Kane. A lot of number one books. Where's number two? That's where you get the read through. This is a lot that I've been learning over the years is people want a series before they pick up the first book. They want to make sure, okay, if I read the first book, where's the second book? Where's the third book? Where's the 12th book? They want to make sure when they start reading a series, they can plow through the entire series. People read very, very quickly when they're in a series like that. That's one thing that I didn't think about when I was doing this. I was just like, hey, let's see what becomes popular and throw it all out there. So I published a good number of books. Then Giant Robot Planetary Competition and V&A Shipping books were out there, and I'm like, oh, hey, let me do a crossover with V&A Shipping and Giant Robot Planetary Competition when I write V&A Shipping Book 2. That could be interesting. So I had the characters in V&A Shipping transporting a planet. I introduced them in Giant Robot Planetary Competition. They took the GRPC team to the planet where they're going to do the competition, transported all their supplies. In Book 2 of V&A Shipping, Hollow, I had them transporting a planet for the GRPC. This is when things started to tie together. I had already begun working on Almost Superheroes when I thought, wait a second, this book is taking place almost around the same time as when Joey Provoski disappeared from Earth and became the stowaway in the first V&A Shipping book. Maybe there's a way I can start weaving that into this whole tapestry. The reason I started doing that was because authors like Scott Sigler took all of his books and just started weaving everything together. Here's the way everything fit as one larger tapestry. Some of it was a little sketchier than others, but it all started to make a sort of sense. So I started to do that with these three series to tie them all together. But when I started to do it, it started to make a lot more sense. In the second V&A Shipping book, I introduced Lou Who. I had no idea where he came from. I hadn't even finished the first Almost Superheroes book, but Lou Who came in. I have fun with names in my books, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Lou was an interesting character, and when I wrote Almost Superheroes, I'm like, okay, Lou is another stowaway in the V&A Shipping universe. How did he get there? So at the end of Almost Superheroes, I explain how Lou got there. This is where a lot of these books are going to start to really tie together. Almost Superheroes Book 2, even more interesting things begin to happen, and you begin to realize, hopefully the readers begin to realize where this is all going. At any rate, rewind back up to all of these first books that I released. I still was writing, and I was still putting out about a book a year. I had slowed way down because all of the books I had published fell flat. Everything fell flat. I could give away V&A Shipping. I did one giveaway, and I gave away almost 400 copies of the first V&A Shipping book. The problem with that is by giving away all those copies and not having the second book at the time when I did that first giveaway, no one had a second book to go buy. It was a wasted effort. I'd done free giveaways on a lot of my series, and there's no second book. I do need to do that with the Golden West series because Golden West is a trilogy now. I completed that trilogy. That story is done, wrapped up with a bow, all nice and neat. I think it's a fun steampunk western. Something I wanted to write, something I enjoyed. I did that working with my co-author Mike Plested, Scott Roche. The three of us had the Action Pack podcast. We were releasing one episode a month. Had a great time doing that. I was back to recording again. I was back to writing again. That completed, and we really didn't have a large audience for it. I don't know why. Again, if you want to listen to Golden West, so we've got a YouTube playlist for Golden West. We just got done doing that one. Then I started working on Murdockian Tales, a bunch of short stories. Got those released. Again, no traction. Released those as little audio snippets. I've re-released them as audio again. Playlist. You can go check out the audio on YouTube. I've moved a lot of stuff to YouTube, but there is also audio versions. You can go scroll through the blog and you can find them. But I was having fun recording and getting things out there. Billy Barbarian is the only one that I don't have up on YouTube yet. I do intend to get those done, uploaded, and scheduled so Billy Barbarian can get scheduled. Again, the whole point I was trying to accomplish was give readers a whole plethora of books to choose from, find out what they really wanted to read, and then write in that. What I really should have done was gone straight forward with the V&A shipping series. But had I done that, I wouldn't have this larger overarching story that I'm now working on. Had I written more V&A shipping stories, they would have just been stories. I don't believe I would have had this larger arc going on that I'm now planning. With that said, I'm very happy with where I've got the books done are going. I think this story has legs at this point. Now, what I need to learn from my mistakes, don't do what I did. Now I know I need to start getting these released in rapid order. That's why I set myself up the schedule. Because my sales have been so flat for so long, I will be doing numbers here, and probably next week I'll start going through numbers because we're going to be within a week of doing the launch. I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. But what I wanted to do now was to schedule everything and get it all laid out. I have a backlog of books that I've written over the years. As I said, sales were flat, so I had no ambition to start publishing them and putting them out there and seeing nothing happen. Now that I've done a lot more of educating myself over the years, if you really track back to what I've been doing, I've been writing since the mid-'80s, since high school. I've been publishing since the mid-'aughties, since 07, 08. I believe 08 was when the first V&A shipping book came out. V&A shipping has had probably 7 different covers. Again, I kept changing things up, trying to get things going and failing. Now, I've educated myself. I've matured to the point where I can tell the stories that I want to tell in the fashion I want to tell them. I've learned a lot. I've read more. I've followed more authors and read their books to see how they're doing things. I really learned a lot of not just tricks of the trade, but tricks of storytelling. I feel now better telling the stories that I want to tell. I'm excited again about the stories I've written and the ones that I want to write. I had lost that passion because, again, I set myself up for failure and I was disappointed when I failed. I didn't do it correctly. Now when I start seeing authors like, say, Terry Mixon did it right. He had 3 books ready to go. He had lost his job and he decided, okay, let's give this writing thing a try. He released books in the same series in rapid order and kept pumping out books in rapid fashion in one series. That allowed people who picked up book 1 to suddenly read through the entire series, and then they're ambitiously waiting for the next. That's the stage that I'm hoping to get to at this point. I've got 2 V&A shipping books, 1 giant robot planetary competition book. I'm about to drop GRPC 2. To me, this book has been done for years, and I'm excited to finally get it out there. V&A Shipping 3 is ready to go. I've got Almost Superheroes books 1 and 2 ready to go. Oh my gosh, Giant Robot Planetary Competition book 3 I'm almost done with. I'm having a blast getting these books going and seeing the schedule. It looks aggressive, especially with dropping short stories every other week in there. Short story every other week, one ebook 1 month, print book the next month. So every other month there's a brand new book out there. You want the physical copy? It'll be out there next month, but the ebook will be here now. I'm thrilled to see this happening. I'm also thrilled that I'm going to redo the whole Murdockian Tales line. That series is going to be a whole lot of fun because I'm going to have 9 short stories, boom, collection. 9 short stories, boom, collection. I've got those scheduled out through 4 books. This year, I'll be publishing more in 1 year than I've ever published. Just with short stories alone, it's going to be incredible. But with books, I'll be publishing a lot of books in this next year. If I keep pace, a book every other month, I know I can write the books. It's just a matter of getting on that schedule, staying on that schedule, and keeping things pushing forward. It's going to be exciting. As I said, I've rediscovered my career. I've analyzed the errors. I've overanalyzed the errors. I've overanalyzed everything I did wrong to the point where I stopped. Now's the point to go, okay, learn from your mistakes, move forward. That's where we're going. Next week, we'll talk about numbers. I'll be talking about sales, how many books I've sold, how many books I've given away over the history of all the books. I'll start talking about how many people are subscribed to the blog, how many people are subscribed to YouTube, TikTok, all that. Because again, I'm working on expanding my platform. Writing is one aspect of a writer's, an author's career. The second part is platform building. The third part is actually publishing and getting those books out there. There is a lot more to being an author than just writing a book. There are some authors, yes, they write a book, send it off to the publisher. Publisher says, okay, we've got you set up for this book tour. They take care of everything and they babysit some of these authors. I'm not one of those authors. I will likely never be traditionally published. That's a lie. Jack Kane, books 1 and 2 are published, but not through a big press, through a small press that my co-author has a relationship with. In that fashion, yes, I am a hybrid author, but for the most part, for my books that I'm working on, I'm going to pump them out in, indie publishing. It's the way to do it. I maintain control of everything. I maintain all the rights. I can now publish the audio. I can do what I want with my books. That's the goal here. At any rate, I've been rambling on far longer than I intended. Now you know how we've gotten to this point where we're at. The highs, the lows of my career, where I've been, how I got here. It's been an interesting journey, and that's just the writing part of it. There's so much more to talk about, so much more fun. Next week, we're going to probably mix up with some other things. I want to do some different videos, but again, we're going to get to numbers next week. Next week will be, right now we're 10 days away. 12 days away? I don't know, math. We're less than 2 weeks away from publishing GRPC 2, which will be the relaunch of everything. I'll be getting new versions of the books I have published out so that the cleaned up versions are out there for people to consume. That should cause them to pop up in people's readers and go, hey, what's Murdock doing? Look out for that. Watch for the launch videos. It's going to be an exciting time. I can't wait. I'm really excited. That said, this has been 5 Day with Jay. I have been Jay. You have been awesome. Until next time.